Hi, this is Gus doing stuff. And what am I doing today? Well, I've been working on two gas grills, camp stoves, that we picked up at a flea market type vendor outlet place. And they were fairly cheap. We got both of them for $30. We were going there for one, and he gave us both of them for $30. We were going there for one for $20. And the one is a thermos grill, and it's an older one. I found out it's quite a bit older than I would think. And this Coleman one, we don't know anything about camp stoves, so apparently the regulator did not come with it, and that's what I've been wrestling with for the past month, trying to figure out ways to get this to work. The regulator that you can buy now for the more modern ones doesn't fit on here, and I don't think that this, I have this brass piece on here, but I don't think it has the pin, the safety valve situation, and I think the circumference of the output here was bigger than the current regulators, and I can't find the specific regulator that goes with it. Can't find it on the internet anywhere, on eBay, on just anywhere. I found pictures of it, but even sites that sell old Coleman things, apparently there's all kinds of groups and a whole society on old camp stoves. I don't know. So this is a Coleman 5435-700, and I don't know how old it is. I'm going to say it's probably, I don't know, maybe from the 70s or 80s. So far, I think I have a solution now. I just got some parts in, and what I've done so far is I've screwed this brass piece on here. I think it's a 3/8 size to screw onto the actual burner in here. These come apart very simply. You just pull the knob. There's a screw that holds each knob on, the tiny little screw, and you can pull the knob off and then just take pliers or a wrench, whatever you have, and just loosen these up, and then these screw off very easily. Some things that I learned, one thing that I learned, apparently these are not easily adjusted to a low burn when you've got the gas going. So if you wanted to do a real low simmer, and if you have that issue, apparently you can unscrew these things. All the way off. Actually, put that on there. You back it out all the way. And then you just clean this off. I cleaned it off and lubricated it with some silicone. But if this gets gunked up all on here, then when you're trying to adjust it, it must block the gas, or I don't know. The orifices are very small, so it probably doesn't take much to clog this up. So if you've got a lot of crap and stuff in here build up, then that's the solution for that. You might as well. I'll take these both out. It's easier to get this piece out if you take these out. But I took them off and cleaned them, and I wasn't really having too much of an issue with it. But I am able to adjust it pretty good. So it's down barely going, and so now so here these orifices just fit right over this piece. So one goes over here and one goes over here, and you just kind of slide them in there. They don't, nothing, there's no screwing pieces, they're screwing anything to hold them on. And you can see the hole here is very, very tiny. It literally looks like a pinhole. So this is the brass piece that I put on, and it's really not made, there's not threads completely around this for some reason. There's like a gap there. So I put a lot of gas line paste pipe dope in there and tightened it up, and I've tested it with bubble water, and it doesn't leak or anything. So that worked well. So now that I have that on there, I can go from here out to whatever fittings I want to. So I tried a couple of different things. I got the regulator that is supposed to go with the newest ones. That they say it's this model. This model calls for, I forget the number of the regulator. It's like a 3540. So it's I found the papers and the manuals and everything for this specific grill, and it's a 5430-5541 regulator assembly. The whole grill is 5435-700. Apparently the dash 700 is left off a lot when you see the model floating around, and then there's other numbers too. I forget what they are now. There's like a 5435A and or 700A or B, or I don't know. They're a little bit different, the units, I guess, but they all take this same regulator. And then the valve assembly itself, I was going to see if I can get that. And the valve assembly itself is 5430-52-5251. So all you can look up is 5430. This 5541, I don't believe I was able to find anything with that number. It was a long search. It was driving me kind of nutty, and I was going to call Coleman, and they just refer you to sites that where people have a forum on old Coleman parts and things like that, and they recommended the same thing. That no one actually had a specific answer for this to get the one that it's supposed to be. Do I have a printout of that one? Now, this is the diagram. It's easily found online. It does say 5435-700, and there's all the parts. This is actually a pretty good copy of it. Some of the renditions you can find out there are pretty blurry, and you can kind of make out the numbers. But I see the regulator there, and it's listed down here, and there it is, 5430-5541. I ended up finding one on eBay that the whole unit was for sale, and they had the regulator with it. So I took a picture, a snapshot of that. So this is what the regulator is supposed to look like. And it does have a nipple type thing, the safety device in there. But the hole in here, if I recall, there's a screen in there, and the hole is off center. It's down on one side of the circular orifice, and then this nipple must push against the solid part of that, because the hole is actually to the side. So that just pushes that in. It's like a tire, a valve stem for a tire that pushes in. So that pushes in. Then this is an O-ring here, and it just fits in there and is held sealed by the O-ring, and then this piece screws over the top. So they do have a piece that's that's a solid. It's not a special screw to screw over this piece. So I'm figuring my fitting will fit fine on there, and if I have the pipe dope on there. But this is meant to go on and off. This is you're supposed to take this off every time you get done using the grill, so that it doesn't get broken or bent. So, but I'm going to have that as a stationary piece. It's going to be bolted on there with the pipe dope. So I got what I can get that's similar to this, but it doesn't fit. So I'm actually going to be returning that. it looks similar, but this end here, the threads on here are just not the same. And I can even look at this piece here. It does look a lot bigger, and that's actually fitting over this piece and then screwing in. So it's just doesn't work all around. So all of the ones that I see online, they're all the same. All of them look the same in the pictures. Actually, a lot of the sites have the same exact picture. I'm not going to mess around and keep getting more and more of them and sending them back. So that idea is done. And I thought, well, why can't I just have the gas go in and have a manual regulator of some sort. I did get this hose from Harbor Freight. Propane regulator with 5-foot hose. Fits all with a type 1 connection, so that's going to go right directly to your 20-pound tank. So this regulator has a 5/8 female end. So I had a 5/8 piece that I screwed into here. This is 1/4 inch here, so I had a 1/4 inch to 5/8 inch piece to go into here. It was a flare, I believe, and I screwed it into there. And this worked. The only thing is that this is apparently a low pressure regulator, and it wasn't producing much of a flame. The flame was only about this big, and that's how I found the information about cleaning off the pins for the adjusters. I was looking on how to get my flame bigger, and they were telling me how to get my flame smaller. So that was quite helpful. Nonetheless, I cleaned them, and I can adjust that better now, it seems. But either way, I didn't get a lot of flame. I actually had a pot of water on here. I experimented with our electric stove to see how long it takes to boil, and it took like 3.5 minutes. And then I put the pot on here with the same amount of water, and it was over 45 minutes and it still hadn't boiled. So I thought, well, that's not a solution. Then apparently I need more gas coming out of there. So I thought, well, why can't I get, I did see a video at one point where someone had a regulator that they could actually turn and adjust the pressure. So I was able to track that down, and here it is here. This one is from, I believe, Gas One. Just got it off of Amazon. I think it was about $17, which is actually cheaper than this from Harbor Freight, I believe, by a couple dollars. This regulator here was, I think that was $20, and I got another hose with it for another like $8, which was worth it, but the regulator doesn't do what I need it to do, so then it's not worth it. So I got this one here, and it's got a 20 psi regulator, up to 20 psi, so I can adjust this to whatever I need. So if I wanted to, if you put it too high, it's obviously just too hot, and you don't want it to burn too hot. You'll probably wreck the metal of the burner and the spark igniter here, and just you just use common sense with it. But you will have the dials here to adjust, and this. So if you have this on high and it's still not quite high enough, and you're trying to boil maybe a big pot of water for spaghetti or something while you're camping, then you can crank it up just a little bit higher so that you're covering more of the bottom of the pot. So this did work well. I'm going to hook everything together here, and I'll show that. But what I also got was the fitting to go inside here. So for the T1 connection, so this way, this will go to the 20-pound tank, and then I screw this into here, and then I can also use the regular 1-pound tanks. I'm looking at getting some of the refillable ones from Fire King. They are, I'll do a video on that too once I get those. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get them from Costco. They had a good deal on them, and they don't have them in stock right now, but it's early in the season, and I called them on it, and they said, yeah, it's an item that they'll be carrying. It's not something they can tell if it's going to be not carried anymore, but they don't know when stuff will come in. So I'm sure that they'll get that in again before the season really gets going. So I'll be able to have all different options. So this whole thing, this was like $17. I think this was $6. Not sure. I'll find all that out. I'm still, returning things that I purchased. I have to return the hose to Harbor Freight. I got another one from Home Depot that had a different kind of regulator on there, and I was going to try that, and a different kind of connector, and I just have a whole lot of stuff to take back here in return. So what I'm going to do is this hose. This is a 3/8 hose. So what I'm going to do is, so this has a 3/8 fitting on the end here. So what I got was a quick release kit, and I ordered this quick release kit from Amazon. And I believe this was $21, something like that, $21 or $21.99, and it's actually two sets of quick release, and 2 sets of all the different fittings that you get, and for some reason 4 rolls of pipe dope. Not quite sure why you need 4 rolls, but I'm good with gas line pipe dope for probably forever now, because I also have the paste. So what my idea with this is, I'm going to put the quick release. This is just like for your air tools, pneumatic tools. So I'm going to put this onto the valve, and then that will be sticking out of here, and then on the hose I'll put one of these, and I believe there's a union. So I can take this. So I'll take this, and darn it, doesn't fit. So I'm going to need another piece for in here. Okay, so I thought I had it all figured out. I thought that these were going to fit in here. All of the fittings that come with this are, I think they're 1/4 inch. So I need the 3/8 inch to 1/4 inch female. So 3/8 inch male flare to 1/4 inch female. Then I can screw this into here. Or actually I can go with 3/8 inch flare to 1/4 inch male. And then this will screw it on there, so then I won't have that many connections. And then once I do that, I'll be able to have the gas line with the regulator hooked to the tank, and then this can just go on here like this. So I'll take the hose, the gas line, this will be sticking out of the grill, and then I'll just hook it up like that. Easy on and off, no screwing things and making the wearing the threads out and having to worry about the gas leaking. Hopefully these don't leak. There is a rubber, I see a rubber O-ring inside there, so I'm assuming that that's going to work well. And then this has it on and off, so you can have it on at the tank and then adjust it on and off here. So you have a couple of different options. I have to buy some more parts. Oh, apparently you can't connect these unless the gas valve is off, in the off position. I was trying to do this and it wasn't going on, and I thought maybe it was just something wasn't, since it hasn't been moved, it pushed into, maybe it needed to to get through, get pushed in one time. But apparently, if you have this on, you can't take this off, which is a good feature. So I like that. This is going to work well. So I think that's going to work good for this grill, and the thermos grill also I think is going to be the same thing. That's got a different kind of a fitting issue. I'll do a separate video on that. But the thermos grill itself is probably from the 60s, I'd have to guess. I contacted Thermos, and they had their technicians and engineers trying to figure out what I had and all that, and they said it's before their company, which is now Charbroil, had established their relationship with Thermos. I don't know when that was, but that's how old it is. And there is no safety. There's nothing in there as far as a pin or anything like that. So that's just straight through. I'll get into that in the video for that grill. So if you have that kind of a grill, maybe that'll be helpful for you if you need a way of hooking it up. Look what I found. This is one of the pieces that I bought that I was going to take back, and I tried to figure this out as far as what parts to get 2 nights ago, and I thought I had all figured out, and I forgot that I had put this back in the bag and kept it with the receipt so that I knew where it came from. So this will screw into here, and then you have your flare, your 3/8 flare, and then they have another fitting that is a 3/8 flare. So that'll screw right on here, and then that'll stick out. So that'll stick out like that right here, which is a little further than I would want it to stick out. It's better than having to screw something on and off each time and wreck the threads and worry about having to put dope on there and everything when you're camping. So I'm going to put that together now, and I'm not going to videotape that. I just put in the pipe dope on there and screwing these pieces together. So putting this back in here, I got the pieces all together here. This just shows in here. Here's your part that goes inside this tube. So you're going to kind of fit it in there, get it close to it. And this one. And then you just kind of push them together. And they fit right inside, so they'll fit snug right in the holes there. And then you got to line up your adjuster holes, so they're nice and lined up. These will fit right in here when I'm screwing them in there. So I left off. I had this done here, so I have a fitting that is on the valve within the stove, and then I have a flare fitting on that, and then this is a quick release or quick connect kit that I got that has this piece and the nozzle, the shut-off and valve here, and other various pieces that you can use for your situation depending on what you're trying to connect. So I had this done yesterday. I didn't have the piece to put inside the hose here. So this is a 3/8 inch flare going in and a 1/4 inch male going into the actual quick connect. So I pipe doped them up and tightened them on there. I didn't check it yet for leaks. I just don't think it's going to leak because it's pretty tight. But I'll connect it on there to get the gas on, and I'll get a sponge and we'll test it out anyway here. So it has a cover on the dirt cover for the mechanism inside here. It's just like a connector for pneumatic tools. And if you have the gas, I found this out. There's nothing that tells you this. I didn't know. I couldn't get this in, and it was like this switch is on, and it won't let you put this on unless this is in the off position, which makes sense. So if you're having an issue, don't try to force it on there. I thought there was just because it hadn't been used for a while, that maybe the bearings were stuck or something. But you need to have that closed, and then you can push that on there. And now it's connected. So we're going to turn that on. Well, we can leave that off. I'm going to turn the gas on at the tank. So I had this already was working. So I've got the adjustable regulator, and then it has the type 1 connection for your 20-pound tank, and then I have the adapter that goes into that so I can use the disposable tanks. We're going to turn this on now. So you just turn this a little bit, so all the way off. I'm just going to turn it at probably about a half a turn, and then we can adjust it again later. All right, so we turn it on there. We turn it on here. So this should be live. Yep, I can hear it. Okay, so I'm going to test this for leaks now. Okay, so I'm not seeing any leaks, but these are all doped up and everything seems to be fine. Okay, so we'll get this going here. It's got the electric start. Now this is, like, I had cleaned the spindles on these adjusters, so I'm able to go down real low, which is what some people were complaining that they weren't able to do that, and that's the spindle was dirty. But my problem was with the regulator that I got from Harbor Freight, which is apparently a low pressure regulator. I think the flame was about, maybe, let me turn the lights down here. I think the flame was a little bit bigger than this. Yeah, it was about like that, I think. And I never had one of these stoves, so I don't know. That would seem to be too low to me. Once I put this on here, now I can turn it up. I can turn the adjuster on the stove all the way up. And there's no mark on this stove. You just turn it until you can't turn anymore. So that's as high as it will go right now, but I can still adjust it at the regulator. So if I turn that red knob, and then you can hear it, it starts to get louder because it's pushing so much more gas through. It just gets to the point where it's just ridiculous. So, like, it's not going to get huge and be shooting in the air, but there's more volume of gas going through. And you probably don't want to run it that high. It's just too high for everything. So your static lighter there is going to be getting excessively hot. The ceramic next to it, the burner itself, but it is nice to be able to adjust it a little higher if it's extra windy out or something like that, or if you have a larger pot and you want to spread the fire over the whole bottom of the pot or the frying pan. So that's it. So that's working now. So I haven't calculated the numbers yet, but we essentially paid like $15 for each of these grills. This is the Coleman, and then the other one's a thermos. So we paid about $15 a piece for them, and then I have to add up all the parts, but I think it's going to be another 15 to 20, possibly 25 in parts between the hose, which you would need a hose anyway. So I would probably only really count the stuff that I needed for connecting. So the parts here into the stove, and the quick connect is kind of my option to do that. I just figured it would be easier. So I'll count them because I am using them for that, but the hose itself I might not count. So these go new. They're $80 or more. Some of them are even $100 some depending on the size of them and whatever. So I think it's still a good deal. And the whole retro. We've got an older camper that we're going to be fixing up to use. So let me turn this off. And so if we want to go with the retro grills with the retro camper, kind of has that little nostalgic feeling to it. So next I'll be working on the thermos grill and our camp stove, and the connector on that is actually reverse thread, and it's a real a coarse thread. I took it to the Home Depot and the Lowe's and couldn't find anything like it. I took it to 2 hardware stores and they couldn't find anything. The one guy thought it was a 9/16 reverse thread. That's the best he could do. So I'll go with that one too. It seems like I've seen online quite a few people that have those grills, and I'm sure they're having these kind of issues. So I have not really seen a solution for connecting that up to the gas. This isn't really complicated. I'm just trying to come up with the fittings that will fit. Now I'm going to be 3D printing a special connector for that printer, so you can stay tuned for that in the next video. All right, that's it for this. This is Gus doing stuff, and I'll try to put the links for everything in the description for all the parts that I use.